guys, welcome to the trading part. In a couple of days we're gonna be in September. In today's video we're gonna discuss what are the odds that we get a September in the red, and not just that. What is the line in the sand to invalidate the bullish breakouts that we confirm with the weekly close this weekend? Could it be that these breakouts are a fake out or not? And of course, we're gonna look into the 4-hour time frame, how we closed yesterday, very interesting development for the momentum, and a potential breakdown is taking shape on Bitcoin. We will clarify what could be next based on these new developments. Guys, if you like this type of content, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I put out one of these videos. And yes, guys, yesterday we made it to 148 likes, so thanks so much for that. Before you start watching, make sure that you don't forget to hit the like down below, which is definitely helping the channel to get a lot more traction. Let's get started with the daily time frame. Right after we have the breakout from the triangle with an impulsive candle straight into the resistance of 64.7, we printed a double bottom in here. We were most likely going to be taking the 63 and the 65 level of liquidations, but not the 67, at least not yet. And we've been focusing on this large fair value gap that has been now partially consumed. We only have the lower half in brown in here, and we have already built one at the top of the price. So we need to consider a bunch of scenarios to play out next, at least for the short term. Number one, the consumption of the fair value gap right below the price. That spans from 62.6 to 61.3. We've been talking about this particular scenario since Saturday, when we reached this top in here and we have the full fair value gap below us, speculating that was going to happen over the weekend. We have very flat price action, possibly influenced by this little cute fair value gap that we built over the weekend that was retaining the price right around the 64 area. But since the weekend is over, now the price was free to go and grab the fair value gap below us. But the last thing that I want to do is play naive and start thinking that this is the only breakout that is going to take us to those higher prices that we've been talking about during the full weekend. If you haven't been watching my videos, we had a breakout above the VIX, volatility index of the S&P. These are spread charts. I invite you to watch my videos from the weekend if you want to stay informed of what's coming up with high likelihood in the next months. We also broke out above the Federal Reserve's liabilities. You can see that in the chart. And we broke out above the dollar index as well. So this is on a weekly time frame. It can take possibly all September to play out. We are a few days away from September. Could be a challenging month. We are gonna do an analysis on the monthly returns later in the video to assess what are the most likely outcomes that we should be expecting. But now if we stick to the short term and we look at the RSI on the daily, we can see that if today we don't close above an RSI of 55, we are currently breaking down from the yellow trend line. That's a scenario that we cover in the past few days as a possible outcome in order for the price to be able to take the liquidations that are right below us and the fair value gaps. So this is not a surprise for us, particularly yesterday when we noticed these equal highs, both of them having stronger rejection on our level of resistance. That was a beautiful area to short, with a stop loss right above the highs and targeting some of the liquidation levels I showed you yesterday as well. So what comes next is to have a look whether this becomes support and we continue going higher, or if we break down, the next thing that we need to pay attention is whether we hold above this last line in the sand for potential bearish action, or if we break below it to see some stronger bearish action during the month of September. For those of you that are tempted to start thinking, okay, so we're all these breakouts on the weekly time frame just bullshit coming from the trading parrot? I don't think so. I explained yesterday, these things take time. Each of these candles in here with sideways and with drawdowns of 36% right after are all occurring after a buy signal. They do require to have conviction, number one. Number two, they do require to be prepared for fake outs. Yesterday, I showed you a fake out. For example, in here, you can see that if we place the line like this very early and we consider this breakout at a level of 50 and we enter very early, we can still see drawdown coming in. And then we have to move the trend line slightly to the right to see the next breakout. So not always the first breakout is the one that matters. And I explained to you that if that happened, we will have to put the line like this. I still think that there's over 60-70% chances that this is it. But with that 30% chances remaining, I expect to very shortly after, if that plays out, see another breakout coming in, and possibly that could be the actual bottom. But ultimately, whether you enter now or you enter after a possible pullback somewhere during the month of September, I think it will still play out going to the upside. You can tell how the Bitcoin spot ETFs have almost 10x their pace of accumulation in the past 2 trading days versus the previous days. There was a lot of fear in here during this period from early August. There were also some outflow days of 89 and 81 when the economy was looking like entering into a recession. But since there seems to be a commitment on the rate cuts, people don't want to miss out, and instead of seeing 11, 35, 62, 88, 39, now we're seeing 252 and 200 over 2 consecutive days. And the last one was done during a day where the price was coming down with a big red candle. That tells you that many people think that the next pullback, even if it's substantial during September, is going to be a bear trap. So you pick your poison. Do you think it's going to be a bear trap and you're going to join the big whales in their moves? Or you want to follow the short-term holders, what the retail is doing, the dump money, and start selling right now? We can also see when we look at the more messy 4-hour RSI time frame that after the breakout in here, now it's producing a breakdown, confirming what we are currently seeing on the daily time frame, but with a candle in progress, not confirmed yet. There is tons of liquidity in here to be consumed, but I want the price to come back here and break below this wide upwards sloping trend line to convince me that actually we are gonna go back to this range after breaking out above it. Let's have a look at the monthly chart on Bitcoin, and you can see how we are not just only restricting the price action always to this area in here, but with every month we are producing a smaller body. The first word that should come to your head when you hear this is squeeze. And squeeze means that for such an extended period of time, we're talking about over 6 months in here, people have been placing their bets. There are huge pools of liquidation areas below the price and above the price. No one knows where the price is going to go, whether we're going to come back and retest the lower end or we are going to break out to the upside. Signals are saying upside, but no signal is guaranteed. The only thing that is actually guaranteed is from whichever end we exit is going to be an explosive move with massive levels of volatility. And when I talk about volatility, I talk about this level of volatility. You see, something as big as this, because it's always proportional to the volatility prior to the range where you are at now. Looking at the megaphone pattern, you can see that we are entering into the bull market support band. We have these 2 weeks pointing up, and the expectation from the bulls is the price should bounce on these levels, testing it now as support. That's the process we are at, but at the same time we are entering into September. So a bullish September is going to look something like a big wick that does some percentage to the downside, but hopefully by the end of September into October, we reverse that back into here and we continue our journey into the top of the megaphone pattern, assuming that the bull market is not done. And how are we approaching in the general markets? We have a breakdown of the DXY, and just by looking in here at this level of support and starting to see this green reaction is telling me that there is a chance that the DXY may want to decide to come back to the scene of the crime at around $102, $103 to retest the breakdown. So right at the time where you actually get the rate cuts. That's one outcome. Another outcome is if there's full certainty that rates are going to be cut, this could continue breaking down, causing the risk-on assets to rally into the rate cuts. At the moment, I have to say this is just a finger in the air speculation that we might end up in September getting a stronger dollar and then in October finally breaking the $100 and going into the lower end, something similar to what we did in April 2020 before the dollar started collapsing. At the moment, the S&P on the week is printing a red candle. It's not confirmed. We are just beginning the week. But if we were to close this week in the red, this will constitute a double top. And this is just happening right before September and at a way lower level of RSI, meaning that it's a bearish divergence once again. So possibly, maybe we are going to get on the S&P another breakdown below this yellow trend line during September. If we wanted to compare the monthly performance of September in 2024 with the previous cycles, we will have to go 4 years in the past. That will be the equivalent compatible year to where we are right now, based on the halving cycles. And if we look at 2020, which is that year, we have a minus 7.5% in performance for the month of September, following 2 months of green. This year we have July with a very small green, followed by an August that so far is in the red. Notice that in 2020, in October, November, December, was where we had the most impressive performance of Bitcoin running into 2021. Those were the 3 months where we had the highest moves on the RSI. The momentum was the highest of the full bull market of the past cycle. And still, we had a red September. If you scroll with your eyes in here, you can see that most of Septembers are red, but not all of them. If they are not red, the best performance that we've seen is 6%. And I guarantee you that from where we are, 6% doesn't produce an all-time high. In fact, it will only get us into 66.4K. And that's why I'm not expecting as much from September. My eyes are into how much damage we take in September, how we survive that versus the bull market support band, how low can we go relative to it to keep investors convinced that we are still due for that recovery. If we go to the cycle before, into 2016, that will be the compatible year, we actually get the opposite. We get 2 months in red, -7, -7, and then we get that 6% that we were talking about. Following that, still October, November, and December are fully green months. So there you have it. We could have a September where we have a mild performance and you're going to feel like you missed the train, possibly getting into 66K, somewhere in that range, but still not an all-time high. Or you could get a -7% considering just the compatible year, followed by strong performance. Now, if we want to be really bearish about September and we take the worst month, which is 2014, not even a year compatible, it's actually part of a bear market, but still, let's be very pessimistic and let's take a 19% into the chart to see what it means. If August closes at 62.6, right where we are, and September makes 20% down, that will take us to 50K. And that will be assuming that we are in the worst bear market September. So that is kind of the strength that you need for that September to break that low. But those are a lot of assumptions for the time where we are at. Very pessimistic, still doable for a black swan event, still doable if there's a global war, geopolitical tensions, pandemia, or anything like that is the only way that you can get this outcome to happen. In such case, that will drag not just crypto, but all markets. Let's look at the liquidation levels a little bit more closely. You can see that in the last 30 days, now that we have this move to the upside, contrarian to what we saw in the previous week where all these peaks were very shallow, right now we are seeing larger levels of liquidations, at least relative to the right-hand side of the chart. We see 62.3, 60, 60.9, and we have here a 57.8. Looking at trading difference, the most significant one on the scalping chart is 61.8, which we have been talking about way before we started reversing. We were already aware in this channel that 63 and 61.5 was going to attract the price. If we zoom in and remove the top end just to let this normalize the data, focusing just on the lower end, we can see more clear that this starts from 62 to 61.8. Right after that, we have some green, but then it becomes pretty shallow once again. Let's go to the swing chart, which is using the 4-hour. And instead of focusing on the two extremes of the markets that are pretty obvious, you can see that even in this look relative to liquidations, the only ones that are close to the price are at 67K. Yes, we have a fair value gap below, but in terms of liquidations, the motivation is on the upside. And you can see very clearly the picture on the price on the 4-hour. There is nothing below the price except for going below 58K into 56K. My only wish is that if in September we go to this area in here, it happens very fast, very quick, just grabbing that liquidity and pushing back up into the end of September. Hopefully just in one, maximum 3-4 days, proving that that was just a bear trap. The longer that we stay in that state, possibly below 60s, the more we are going to damage the breakouts that we have over the weekend, and readjusting the trend lines and looking for a later lower breakout on these areas. If that happens, we're gonna cover it in the channel, and we're gonna look for a better area to DCA into a larger position in preparation for a future breakout. When we look at the order book, it looks pretty shallow, so we're gonna have to increase the brightness in here, and you're gonna see some orders appearing on the lower end. We got at the moment 62K, they pull out 61.3, and some new orders are placed at 60.8. Going lower in the price, we got people interested in 55 and 54.3, joining forces with the people that have been for over a month at the 46, 47. We got now a new level at approximately 49K. So you can see that there is an appetite for people to buy into September. How low the price could go for that retest, it's impossible to tell, but we are going to continue monitoring the strength of the price on a daily basis, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And you're following me, of course, on Twitter. My handle is Trading Parrot. That is where all the real-time price action occurs in my account. And if you have those notifications switch on, you're not gonna miss out on any important message. Guys, I'm currently hosting a position airdrop on Bybit. You trade with $100 and they give you additional $500 to trade for free. You can use any of the coins here listed. I left you a link at the top of the description. You need to click on that link to activate the promotion and to see the instructions. I also left you a referral link to open a new account on Bybit. You can unlock up to 30,000 in rewards if you use my link. We have also a partnership with them, which means that with that account using my referral, if you open an account on my website and you connect them, following the instructions I left on my Discord server, you can then get a Trading Parrot subscription for free, just using your trading volume and the size of the deposit that you make in your exchange, and then you don't have to pay any of these prices. That will give you access to a vast library of indicators to help you navigate the market, do bot trading, backtesting, join the community of VIP members as well. If you're not ready for that, just join my Discord server, browse the strategies that I constantly add into the strategies forum. You can have a look at the RSI source code that use my videos. That is for free, or I leave you some backtestings on Ganium. You can copy them, study them, ask questions. Many of these setups are using those pro tools for trading as well. You can explore the Bitcoin spread ratio charts and copy them if you want them. Anyways, it's full of value. I'll see you there. Take care. Bye-bye.